Alright everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Enigmatica 6. I hope everyone is doing great today. I know that I am. We're jumping on into things today, but oh boy, a few things have definitely changed since our last episode. I started getting into some off-camera work, and it kind of just cascaded way more than I actually expected it to. And I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to stop and I need to record because there are some things that we're starting to get into that it makes more sense to do on an episode than to try to just recap everything later on. Like, because we've done a lot of stuff. I think it's just raining. I don't even think it's nighttime, which is gross. This is so gross. Of course, right when I want to start an episode, it starts getting gross outside. So, first things first, you probably noticed as we were walking over here to our main lodge is that a lot of things are looking different, like over there. We have moved our engineer's workbench over here. We've been utilizing this a little bit more with some different blueprints for different molds. I'll get back to that in just a second here. We have our coke oven going here, which is actually storing up a good amount of creosote oil. I've been storing a lot. All of these hold 12 buckets, so we have a lot of creosote oil going. Someone had recommended to use the jerry can from Immersive Engineering, but in this pack, it doesn't have a recipe. So if you guys know, like, what's going on with that, leave a comment down below, but it doesn't have a... I really want to sleep through the night, but it won't let me. It doesn't have a recipe, so obviously I can't use it. So my next best bet are these fluid barrels from Engineer's Decor. They do hold 12 buckets, which is pretty good. I think the jerry can only holds 10, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, so we've been using those to store up the creosote oil because it could be very useful down the line. And then outside we have our press set up, a metal press. I'm going to get back to that in just a second because of the rain. Over here, I did get set up our improved blast furnace, so I've really just been progressing a lot through our immersive engineering quest line here. So obviously, if you guys want to try to get some of this stuff up and going on your own, I highly recommend following the quests because it'll make the most sense, but this obviously lets you see what it'll be ultimately when it's set up and going. So the improved blast furnace, here it is right here. They're very easy to make these. You just mix the bricks with steel plates and you'll get those bad boys. And all you got to do is set it up like how I did right here. Normal way with a hopper on top. And then this will run through and cook things up for you. It'll cook steel up for us. And it'll automatically output in the front here. So that's why I have a chest here. It automatically outputs steel. It does not automatically output slag there. So do keep that in mind. I've just been manually taking it out. I believe it outputs on the backside with slag, but I'm not too worried about it right now. The other thing we have up and going are these blast furnace preheaters, which obviously work to help create this better production on this. It makes it go a lot quicker. These are super easy to make up. I'm not going to look up the recipe for you guys, but they're really easy to get going. You just tag one on each side, and then you need to hook up power to it, which is exactly what we did. Thank God it is starting to get nighttime so we can actually go to bed. There we go. We can sleep this nasty rain away, man. I know we can get stuff down the line that'll help with the rain, but it just comes on at the worst time. But yeah, so we have this up and going here, and then we needed to have power to it. Now, I could have tapped into our power from the windmill, but I decided since we had a little bit of a water reservoir going right here, I figured I would alter it just a little bit and get some water wheels going. So we actually have 3 water wheels stacked. That is the max that you can do per dynamo that we have going here. I believe it's a dynamo. Yep, the Kinetic Dynamo. So these are producing a good amount of power. I don't exactly know how much offhand it is actually producing, but these guys are producing a decent amount here. It's going through the Kinetic Dynamo, and I have a medium voltage capacitor on top, which is actually holding 1,000,000 of the energy in here, 1,000,000 energy units in there. Then we do have it just branch out to either our improved blast furnace, or we have it sent over to our metal pressing area over there. Now again, guys, this is pretty straightforward stuff. That's why I already have it set up. I'm not tearing it down to go back through it, but you guys can actually see how the setup is and how it's working, all the wires running through it, and so on and so forth. Then we ran a cabling, like I said, wires all the way over to our metal press. Now, this is, again, very simple one to get up and going, and there is a progression for it right over here for the metal press. It'll tell you all the components that you need. Do be careful because some of these overlap with other areas, so just hover over it. It'll show you how many that you need for this specific quest. And then once you get it going, you can actually utilize your projector to help you get it set up. Or what you can do as well is you can come into here and you can look up what you're looking for. So we want press, the metal press, just like so. And obviously this will guide you through it. Now, if you just want the finished build, you can look at it like so, or you can hit, there we go. I think you hit it again. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, this will show you how to get it all set up and going. You smack it with a hammer on the block that is red. That is universal for all of the immersive engineering builds here. So that's pretty easy to do. And as you can see, so this main one right here, this right all in here is the main metal press. And then we've added in some more conveyors to help us out. I've also added conveyors onto our crusher, but I'll give you the lowdown of it here because it's pretty straightforward to see here. It's a little bit more tricky to see over on the crusher. So first we have a extracting conveyor belt. These are, again, relatively easy to get up and going. You can read up what they do within the actual manual themselves, but for the most part, they do what they say they do. They extract out of an adjacent inventory. So we have our chest here, we put something in here and we want it to run through here. It'll actually extract it out of here and stick it onto the conveyors and run it through. Now for the metal press, there's a couple different plates that you can actually get for it. On the right-hand side over here, you can see all the different types that you can do. But the main ones that you're going to want to stick with are the metal press plate, the rod, and the wiring. Those are going to be the ones that you're going to use the most of. The rod is definitely the rod and the wiring are definitely amazing to have. The plate is because these ones allow a 2-to-1 conversion, whereas, or a 1-to-2 conversion, I should say. So 1 ingot to 2 outputs, whereas the metal, the plate mold is just a 1-to-1 conversion on it. And you can see this here, we could show. So if you utilize this with that, you get a 1-to-2, 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 1-to-2. And whereas if you just wanted to craft these up on their own, right, they would do 2-to-1. So it's reverse. So it's a good deal there. But with the metal plates, it will always be a 1-to-1 ratio. That's what it is, 1-to-1. Now, it just allows you not to have to use your engineer's hammer anymore. But, I mean, engineer's hammers are pretty cheap, so it's kind of up to you. Now, from there, once it's actually completed, it's going to roll along onto another conveyor that brings it up to a dropping conveyor belt. Now, the dropping conveyor belt has two different options on how it can function. It can either just drop whatever item it is onto the ground or wherever it is being dropped to, or it can drop it into a underlying inventory. And that's how we have it set up here. We have a chest that it'll just drop right on into. Now, I guess I figure I can give you guys a nice little trial of this. We'll grab a steel ingot here, because steel rods are something that we make all the time for different immersive engineering components. We have our steel press on there. All we got to do, throw it in the chest. It'll get onto the conveyor, get squashed, and then make its way all the way down and into the chest there. And as you saw, 1 ingot to 2 rods. Great way to have it up. Very simple automation way of doing stuff. And yeah, we have this on our secondary power supply from those water wheels. And I just had the water wheel like kind of drip water off the side and down the mountain because I thought it looked cool. So that's how we're having it go. Now from there, I really haven't done too much other stuff. I guess I could come back over to the workbench really quick because I said I would, and show you guys how you actually get those plates. It does tell you in JEI how to do it. But basically, you're going to want this engineer's blueprint for press molds. This is actually relatively easy to get. Some blue dye, paper, and a iron plate on top. You throw this into your workbench here, and you can utilize your wire cutters to actually create up these different patterns. Each one will tell you what you need. I believe all of them do need 3 steel plates to get going. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't need to use it anymore. For the most part, we should be pretty much set with our schematics, our different plates. So I'm going to leave it set on this default one of just components, which we might end up using down the line. All right, moving right along. I know I'm doing a lot of talking to get going, but that's pretty much the bulk of things that I didn't really feel like tearing down, and I just wanted to run you guys through. If you guys have questions or you have tips, definitely leave them in the comment section down below for sure. All right, moving right along. So this is where the big bulk of things have changed. I'm going to start on this side with our crusher here. So again, same idea with the conveyor belts here, but we did incorporate some vertical ones as well. So we have it extracting out of a chest. It goes onto these vertical belts, which bring it all the way up over, and then we have another dropping one, and that actually just drops it right on into the crusher, which is exactly what we need. So like, let's say, I think what we could do is we could take a piece of cobblestone. I think this will work. It'll go up onto the upper conveyor belt and get dropped in. It'll go through the crusher, and we get gravel as our output. So I've been using that for ore chunks. The ultimate goal is to actually get an arc furnace up and going over in this slot over here. But we do need several other things to get going before we can actually get to that point. So that's why I was holding off. One of the main components that you need, if you take a look in your book here, is actually, you need graphite. You need this highly ordered pyrolytic graphite, or HOP. Now, this is very interesting. You do need a industrial squeezer in order to do it. I actually did get one of those up and going. So I'll show you guys that in just a second here. But in order to do this, you know, you get that going here. And then you can, it says that you can, it's used in the creation of the arc furnace. I'll show you guys real quick. So basically the component that we need are these graphite electrodes, right? And in order to get these, you utilize the press, or you can utilize your station here, right? To get them if you have a blueprint for electrodes, but the only way to get that is from trading. So if you're lucky enough to get it from a trader, highly recommend doing that. But we need to utilize these ingots. Now these ingots can only be made via this graphite dust, which is very interesting because it says the only way that you can smelt it in this pack is via an induction smelter from Thermal Series, which I'm going to test it out eventually and see how it is. But obviously we don't have an induction smelter from Thermal Series up and going. And I'd be a little bit bummed if it's forcing us to go in another direction in order to get these going. I'd actually be really bummed if that was the case, because I don't want to necessarily jump over to thermal just yet. I want to explore all the way through immersive engineering because I'm having such a blast with it in this pack. But yeah, obviously we need to do that in order to get those up and going. So, you know, unfortunately we kind of have to hold it on, put it on hold for the time being until we get everything up and going that we need. Actually, we probably could try it. We do have the squeezer ready to go, so we could actually try it out if we really wanted to. I think all we got to do is get, what, coke dust? We just need some dust. Coal coke dust, or just coke dust, or coal coke. Okay, just dust, coke dust. So we got to take some of the dust that we have. The other thing I did want to call out is there is actually a bee, a steel bee in the pack, but it does not spawn in the world, and it does not have any way to be created, be created, which is a little bit of a bummer. I noticed that looking through things, I was like, oh, that'd be awesome to get a steel bee up and going because it would make things move a lot quicker. But unfortunately, that is not the case because they just don't spawn in the world. So, but it looks like we can take our crusher and crush up some coal coke. I believe I have some going over here really quickly. Let's try to see if we can grab this. How much do we have in here? Do we have 8 pieces? Oh yeah, we got plenty of pieces. We have been saving all of our creosote oil because, you know what though? We're gonna need, what is the yield on this? We need 4 of them to make that, right? But we only need 1 to test this out, right? And it's to that ratio, okay. I guess I'll let that keep going for the time being. We'll continue to get coal coke. Obviously, we're keeping that thing running as much as we possibly can. But let's give this a try, right? So we're going to throw this in here and run it through our crusher and get everything crushed up so we can try to utilize that. Now, the other thing that we did get up and going here is this massive setup, which is just about complete. Boy, that thing is pretty loud over there. But this is just about complete. So we have our squeezer on the left-hand side here. In the middle, we actually have a refinery. And then over here on the right-hand side, we are going to get a fermenter. So this is a whole entire process in order to actually get diesel. And then get a diesel generator up and going so we can actually produce power from diesel. Now, that did stop over here, so let's grab these boys here. And we're going to go over to our squeezer. We should be able to throw this in. I don't think it's going to make any byproducts, so I'm not too worried about it. It did give us our graphite, though. Now, I am curious. Curiosity. Got to satisfy my curiosity. I throw this in here, will it cook up? Nope. If I throw this in the blast furnace, will it cook up? No. All right, so my worst fears have come true. And the only way we can smelt this is via an induction smelter, which is really, like, it's a big bummer. Like, I really wish they wouldn't have done that. I get what they're trying to do and expand you into different mods, but at the same time, it is kind of a bummer. I would have liked to keep going without having to get into a whole other mod, but it's an induction smelter, which is relatively easy on the path of thermal, so it won't be too hard to get into. But anyway, like I was saying, so we have an industrial squeezer here, we have the refinery, and we will have our fermenter over here. I'm actually moving it because I realized that we could move it over here and I can pipe into it via this way, which I hope I have enough pipes. Yeah, I have to use some pipes on that though. So hopefully there's enough because we need to route it around the back here because it outputs right here. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pipes. I need 2 more than what I have right now. How do we make these? Iron plates, which I don't have any iron on me. So I'm going to run back over here and get this going while I talk through things. So basically, we're utilizing these 2 machines. I don't think I have any over there either. So we're going to have to grab some iron from in here. I don't think I had any pipes, did I? No. I think I just need, what, 4, right? Or 6. I need 6. So basically, you use your squeezer, and then you use your fermenter. You get 2 byproducts. I believe it's ethanol, and oof, I'm gonna miss out on the other one. I can't think of what the other one is offhand. What do we have on here? The rod one. I made that mistake before. Definitely be careful when you're doing this. You want to make sure you have the right pattern on there. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself in a tough spot, right? So basically, you're going to make plant oil and ethanol from these 2 machines. And there's a whole entire quest line around it right here for industrial engineering. So I highly recommend going down this path if that's what your interest is to get diesel up and going. So we've done this here. So the squeezer is going to make plant oil from seeds. Ideally, hemp is going to be your best. And luckily for us, we do have a lot of hemp seeds. So it actually did make us a lot of plant oil, which is really nice. And it's also necessary to make the HOP graphite for the arc furnace. So it's a good call out there as well. That's another thing that you need to get going. The fermenter produces ethanol, on the other hand, used with plant oil to then make biodiesel, which can then be utilized in a generator, right? So we'll take the hemp seeds. We'll take that as well. We'll see what we got. We got an ancient shader, which is pretty cool. It would have been really nice if it had given us some more pipes, but that's fine. This should be good to go, right? Yep, we got all those bad boys there. Do that. We'll do that. More pipes just like so. Not too bad, I would say. Not too bad. All right. Get notifications on my phone, getting it on my watch, and I'm just checking it because obviously I'm distracted by everything. So pretty much, what does this one take? I forget what this one makes up, right? This one is the plant oil, I believe, yeah, and the squeezer. And then the ethanol comes from the other one that will be over here. Let's get this going then. So I am using the projector. I really, really recommend that you guys use this. It's super, super useful when it comes to getting these things up and going. And it really allows you to outline all the stuff that you need to lay down and in what order. And it'll even highlight it. You see how like I go over to the light engineering block and it highlights it like, hey, you need to put that here. So that's really nice. All right, we need our cauldrons. I was a little bit sad when we had to get these made up because it cost a lot of resources to actually do. And then finally on top our iron sheets, just like so. Once it's good to go, it's going to highlight in green. And then all you got to do is take your hammer, hit the center block, and bada bing, bada boom, we are up and rolling. Now, I am running this around the back. That's the plan. Hopefully, I don't have to put a pump in. I'd be a little bit bummed if I did. I don't see why I would need to, but we'll find out here. So that should pump everything from here all the way into here. And we already have some backlogged because I did, unfortunately, have to break this to move it because I had it side by side and I'm like, realistically, it makes a little bit more sense to be over here. Now we need to get all of these power, so I guess that's the next thing on the docket, is to get all of these guys power. So obviously we're going to want a low voltage connectors here. The one for this one is all the way in the back there. So I'm kind of debating on how we want this to be set up. We probably are going to change this from being here. Let's get all that stuff, right? And we have our relay. And I think what we will ultimately end up doing is getting rid of this here, because it's ultimately in our way. We'll have to place some more of those though, right? And then what we'll do is we will take this and put it right there. And then that should allow us to connect everything together. So that'll get us there, there, and then from there to there. And we're going to need another piece of cabling, which I should have some back in our storage system, which, guys, storage system, definitely one of the next things on the list, because it is just getting overwhelmed with stuff. Like, oof, like just way too much stuff that we have in here. All right, what was I looking for? We need some wiring, right? We have low voltage. We have that one right there. The other thing that we will need to do at some point in time is upgrade our system across the board with the cabling that we're using, because we're using low voltage, which we're producing a good amount of energy and we backlog a good amount of energy, but then it's bottlenecking on the wires because the wires can't handle the capacity that's being drawn from it, if that makes sense. Oh, shoot. I need a connector as well. I need an endpoint, which I was just there and I didn't grab it. This is the other thing. Once we get a wireless system set up, it'll be super nice. All right, where is it? Low voltage connector. We just need one more of those guys. And once we have that, we should be good to go to get everything set up. Now, realistically, guys, ooh, we should request this too. Realistically, guys, this isn't going to be right off the bat a very fast system, or even, I guess you could even kind of argue efficient system, because really having a better power supply to it in place would make way more sense, and our power setup right now is kind of junk. Not gonna lie, it is kind of junky. So all right, we will get that put on there just like so. We'll do wire to wire, and then this should be getting its power. Perfect. And it's actually taking the plant oil, which I have some extra of, and the ethanol, which we have extra of, and it's making ourselves some biodiesel, which is awesome. It is taking that power and creating a good amount of biodiesel for us, and that'll actually get output here on the front. We could actually utilize it, or if you had just a bucket, you can place buckets in here and grab it as well. I've actually been using these fluid barrels. You can use them like buckets and put them into these slots here, and it'll accumulate it, much like how we had on our cold coke oven over there. But here we go, guys, our whole new setup for biodiesel production. Now, realistically, I have been putting these levers on here, these levers, just because, you know, we don't want these running all the time. And not like we have things filtering into them currently, but it's a nice option to be able to have that where it can be turned off. Now, I guess I should show you guys how it actually produces on either side, right? The squeezer as well as the fermenter. So we have the seeds for the squeezer, but we're also going to need something else for the fermenter. And honestly, one of the best things that I've run into using are these holly berries, or just berries in general. We have so many berries backlogged, like just berries here, like so much fruit that it's a good use for those. So definitely hold on to it. So if we come over here and we throw the seeds into here, it's going to run through the process. Now, you're not going to see anything populate in here because it's automatically getting pushed over into here. It's making that plant oil for us that is combining with the ethanol to make our biodiesel, which is actually getting pretty full right off the bat. Now, very similarly, we have the fermenter over here, and I'm just going to take a couple of these because I don't want it to run through too many. So we'll run with 8 of them for the time being, but it's going to take these holly berries and it's going to run them through this. And as you can see, it's also automatically outputting via the pipes over to the system. And this has green lights. So as you can see, both of them are getting what they need and is working properly. But we're going to backlog on biodiesel real quick there. And again, guys, the one thing that we're going to run into, obviously, is the power. we're utilizing 3 low voltage capacitors in a series here to hold power. This is the main one where it all comes into and then it flows out to either side. It does offer some good distribution of power, so there's some backlogging of it if I did need to use one side or the other, right? So pretty much it'll come through here and it'll distribute left or right. But let's say this one gets depleted, it'll just divert over to this one and keep going like that. Whereas this, it won't pull from this one over here, which is good. So it'll be backlogged just in case for some reason some stuff's running over here. I need to come over here and run the crusher. We can still have a little bit of backlogged power that we could utilize that with, and we're not super bottlenecked. But it's still not really efficient. Like realistically, we need some medium voltage, we need some high voltage cables, and once we get our biodiesel generator up and going, we're really going to have to understand how to deal with it, because this isn't going to fly anymore. And maybe power transportation from another mod might even be beneficial as well. I don't really know 100% if that would make sense or not to try different a different mod for the power transportation, but we've done it before with like universal cables from Mekanism, and it's cool, but it doesn't look as cool as this, right? Like this looks very, very industrialist, and ultimately I think this is an awesome setup. Did we just so happen to line everything up? No, we have 3 on this side and then only 2 on that side, unfortunately, because of the way we had to route this. Now, realistically, I could have probably flip-flopped this around so the output was on that side, or flip these in a different way so they're not all lined up like that or whatever. But it is what it is, guys, right? Like it works perfectly. It works better this way than what I had it set up before, so we can actually access everything. And we are generating that biodiesel, which is awesome. So biodiesel, like I was mentioning, can we look it up there? No. Okay, so I need to look up bio and see what we can actually utilize it for. So you can actually utilize it to make other things as well, including plastic and stuff like that, if we were to get into Pneumaticraft. But you can also throw it, into a normal generator, but you can also throw it into a compression dynamo. And 1 bucket, seriously, is 1 bucket going to give you 10 million RF? Wow. That's actually pretty crazy. I'd be tempted to get a compression dynamo up and going then from thermal series to generate power, because that right there is going to generate a whole heck of a lot of power, especially if we pump it into it and pump it into the system. Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. I mean, that's what? Like, we have 21 buckets, right? And it's 1 to 10. So 210 million RF right there from that one combination of things, which is, I feel like a little off kilter. But I mean, hey, whatever, man. I'll take it. I'll use it. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't know. I'm not an expert here. Let's see how things are doing over here. Looks like our fluid barrel got full up again, which is just insane. Like the amount of creosote oil that we've been using is just astounding, or that we've been producing is just astounding. I mean, look at that. We just have barrels on barrels. Now, realistically, it probably makes sense for us to get something else from Immersive Engineering up and going to store a lot of this liquid, or a lot of this fluid, I should say. And I think the best thing would be to get, I think, is a tank, right? A tank is a multi-block that provides space for large amounts of fluid. It'll store up to 512 buckets of any fluid, which can be piped in through the top or the bottom block. Fluids can only be extracted from the bottom center block. Okay, so really, like, this would be probably the next thing that we would get up and going to help, like, to help store a lot of this stuff. It would be really nice to utilize that. And we could get a tank going to store a lot of this, because these aren't going to cut it. Like, it's cool and it adds to the aesthetic, but it's not going to cut it. So maybe what we do is we put a silo right out here, right? Or a tank or whatever right out here. And then we pipe into it, and then we can pipe out of it. Now, I believe the reason that I wanted to hold on to it is because creosote oil... How do we spell this? I always forget how to spell it. C-R-E-O. Okay, I was close. I forgot the O. Creosote oil, I believe, can be utilized in the compression dynamo as well. That it can. So you can utilize it in this setup to make treated wood planks. We already knew that. Mixing it and stuff like that, blah, 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 heat temperature, blah. But in a compression dynamo, very similar situation. Now, it only generates 200,000 RF per bucket. But still, considering we have, what, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, right? 84 buckets. I mean, that's not bad, right? So if we have, I think I did the math on that right? Because there's 7 times 12. Hang on, boys. We're going to do this quick math. 7 times 12 is 84. Wow, I was correct. So we have 84 buckets, and it does 200,000 RF per bucket. So if we did that, so it should yield us 16 million RF, or about almost 17 million RF is pretty much what it's seeming like. Which, wow, it's not really that great. I mean, to be fair though, this you can utilize very early game, right? You could do this, you could get that compression dynamo up and going from thermal series and start pumping out power really early on, rather than going down the different avenues that we have. But I think this is going to be crazy, this biodiesel. I don't know, do we have quests? We do need to complete a quest. Is actually getting a bucket of biodiesel. Okay, let's do it. All right. Let's grab ourselves a bucket of biodiesel. That's going to complete the quest here. We're going to get an epic immersive engineering loot. And we did get a shader, the Ikelos shader, I think. And then I don't know if we got anything else from that. A high voltage capacitor. We also got a high voltage capacitor as well. So from there, guys, we're going to continue down the path, and we need to get the diesel generator up and going. With the biodiesel or diesel acquired, it can be used as fuel for the power. If powerful, if noisy, diesel generator producing a respectable amount of FE per tick, or RF per tick. It's all the same ratings, I believe. But this is not bad to get up and going. The only thing is, though, right, is that if we looked at the bio and we looked at its use cases, right, it doesn't show us what it'll ultimately output in here. And once we get that generator up and going, which is a little bit concerning, right? Because if we go through all that, we're still going to try it. We're over time here, so we're going to wrap things up. But we're going to try it coming up soon, where we get that multi-block machine up and going of it and see how much power it's ultimately going to produce, and then compare it to this compression dynamo. Because again, guys, this compression dynamo is going to yield a lot of power. And I have a feeling that the multi-block isn't going to yield the same amount because it's a little bit more balanced than thermal is, in my opinion. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below. Better yet, leave a comment, like I mentioned, some tips or tricks, suggestions, whatever you guys have. Always greatly appreciated. If you are new here and you do want to follow along, definitely hit that subscribe button and bell notification. I'll let you know every single time new episode is posted here on the channel. Do stream over on Twitch, link for that in the description down below, along with a link to the community Discord. You can stay up to date on the latest channel and streaming news over there, at least for us, obviously. And they're a cool group of people that hang out over there as well. So if you feel like chilling out over on the Discord, that link is in the description down below. I feel like maybe in the next episode, we might get the biodiesel generator up and going and then go out on some adventuring. There's a few things that I would like to try to find, and there's a few different areas I would like to go potentially. So we might do some adventuring. We've done a lot of building, so I feel like it's time to switch it up. But again, guys, that'll have to be in the next episode. So thank you for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate it so very much. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.